Okay, hello friends. This session going to be very valuable because we are going to present some of the hardest situational Scrum Master interview questions with detailed answers from 10 real interviews given by our today's guest, Priyanka Khurana. Friends, this is a third session with Priyanka. So if you've not seen previous two sessions, please watch them as well. We had covered close to 50 plus commonly asked Scrum Master real life interview questions. Link I have put it into the description, so you can go and check those links as well. And friends, if you're visiting our channels Career Stock first time, please do subscribe and don't forget to hit like button. Your one like is a big motivation for all of us. So with this thought, let's start the session. And welcome Priyanka. Thanks for giving your time.
Thank you so much, Sunant. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to call me on your channel again and again to share my experiences.
That's great. That's great, yeah. Priyanka. So Priyanka, if you allow us, shall we start?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so this one is the little, I would say, trickiest question. Okay, so here it is. So your manager asks you to do something that is against the organizational policy. So what you will do in that kind of situation? And if you had shared some example also, that will be great.
Sure. So organization policy. So it's around organization policy. And I must say organization policies are created by experts. So they have certain perspectives in their mind, and they're based on some regulatory and compliance things basis that, and changing or maybe violating those policies may yield some results at team level sometimes, but it could be considered as a malpractice at organization level. So we should always take care and ensure that we do not violate the organization policies. However, like if we are in a situation where we are told by our supervisor, our manager to do something which is against organization policy, and he being your supervisor, you cannot just simply say that, hey, I'm not going to do this. So what we can do in this situation is, first of all, like what I would do is validate whether whatever he is trying to ask you to do, whether is it really against the policy, whether it is really violating the policy. And how we can do is that we can always check with our HR, or there are at every organization, we have certain portals where we can go and check what the policy is talking about in detail. So we can always refer that and confirm that whether it is really against the policy or it is just my understanding of the something that he is asking me to do. So I think that's the first thing we should do when we are in such a situation. Then if you see that, yeah, it may be against the policy violation, and in that case, if you're still needed to do that, maybe I would try to document that and get a confirmation from my manager that maybe in an email that, hey, based on our discussion, mentioning also the context that during our last discussion, this is what we discussed, and is it exactly what you are looking for? This is a confidential information. Do you want me to share this file with you, or maybe it's containing some PII data? So should I go ahead and share this information? So something like that, documenting it and asking for his confirmation over an email would really help. So in future, if you are in such a situation where you have to explain this to somebody, you have at least something with you that you can showcase or present. What else we can do is probably if there is any other person involved during that conversation. So if your manager is asking, there is a third person who is also involved in those conversations. So keeping that person in loop in an email or in your conversations, that maybe ABC person was there and he was also listening to that conversation, and he knows that your manager is asking you to do something. So probably loop him in also. I think that's all we can do if we are into such a situation. We can also do skip level. Again, maybe checking with your supervisor's manager or checking with your HR that this is something I have been told to do and I find it might be against the violation. Should we really go ahead and do it? Would it create any harm? And if you, strictly get a no from your HR, then I would say you can communicate the same to your manager. But if the HR is okay, definitely you can go ahead with that. And probably sharing an example from real life is not there was a situation at a time when we bill our vendors for for whatever we get as perks. So during a billing sometime what happened is that we double billed for a client, so he was expected to get around 490 perks, and we accidentally gave him like double the amount, so 900 we billed to the client. This happened, and at that time neither we nor the client realized that something like this has happened, and here the client just simply approved it and we got that amount. But later on down the lines, when we were going through some reports and we realized that, oh, this has been happened and we have charged double the amount. So what we could have done at the situation is that to simply ignore it, that it's being so many months now and nobody is going to check it. So I reached out to my manager, telling him about the situation, and together we decided that we should probably talk about it to the client and to the HR, and something we can do about it to rectify it now. So there is a change process involved into that is complicated, and being a big organization, there are multiple steps involved into it to, do something like that to change that situation. So instead that there was a solution that maybe this time we can bill half the amount and client can just pay half the amount. In that way, client would be also in a happy situation that the that being one of his vendor, we are genuine, and we, if something wrong has happened in the past, we are upfront and we are transparent enough to explain that to him, and then we were trying to resolve that. So we did that. The next billing, we billed half the amount, and that's how we were able to solve that. So this is something related to that violation of policy that I could bring as an example.
Wonderful, Priyanka. Thanks a lot for sharing that.
Sure.
Great. Okay. So next one is around team management. So let's assume that you have noticed that one of your team member is not working that great, and looks like that he is demotivated. So in that kind of situation, what you will do?
Okay, so I think this is a common problem, and many of us would have faced in our roles that there are team members who are not working, not pulling in weight. So what we should do in such a situation? I think being in my role, working as a Scrum Master and also as a people manager in the past, my approach in such a situation is to first try to understand why is this happening? What is the reason behind that? Why is the person not working? Is this a will issue with the person, or is it a skill issue? Whether he is not really interested to do the work, he is finding some challenges, he's not liking the work, or he has some personal problem. Try to identify that. Also set up a one-on-one meeting with that person, try to understand why is it happening that we are noticing over a period of time that you're not utilizing your capacity, you're avoiding the work. So what is the reason behind that? So if it's a will issue, I would say maybe he has a family problem, and which is why his capacity is being consumed here, or he is not able to focus on the work. Then handling that situation in a different way, maybe trying to be empathetic with that person, and trying to be helpful for the time being, providing some help or an extra resource to solve that problem. Or if it's a skill issue, maybe a new hire who is not able to understand the things, or it's a caliber issue, the person does not have that skill set, he doesn't have that technical knowledge, so there is a technical gap that we need to fill into, onboard that person so that he can start picking up the work. So in this situation, maybe arranging some workshops or some knowledge transfer sessions for the person is something we can do so that we can improve his skills. And even this is not helping, maybe we see that he is not the right hire. Maybe we hired somebody who doesn't know something at all, and he would not be a good person to work for that development. Maybe if he's a developer, then can we align him to some other thing? So if he has some testing background, can we give him some testing work, or something we can find out within our organization where we can fit him, which is the kind of work he can do and perform. Because if we hire somebody, there is a lot of time and effort involved into that. There are a lot of people are involved, a lot of time is involved, there is a lot of onboarding happened for that person. So just removing that person from the project or just firing that person from the organization would not really help. I think so in that case, we should try to put him somewhere else. And I can share an example also from my real-time situation. In one of the project I'm working right now, there is only, in the Scrum team, there is only one QA who is working, and that too a new hire, a fresher. So when he is working, he has been onboarded and he has given knowledge transfer sessions, but still being a new hire, he is struggling to, do some kind of work, to learn new technology, to learn new tools. So he is reaching out to developers for help for every small thing. And the developers are saying that we also have our work. We have helped him in one scenario, two scenario, but we cannot do all of his work. So this is a situation. Now the person is in a situation, to just move out of the project. I want to do some other project because I'm not getting sufficient help. And developers have a say that the person is not participative and he is not doing the work that he's aligned to. When I joined that team, I got to know that, yeah, the person is not working because he doesn't have that skill set. Then I connected with that person. I met with him personally, had a one-on-one, tried to understand. And that's where I got to know that he's a new hire and he is looking for some support, which he is not getting. And that's why he is looking out for a different project. So it's not only from that the QA, the problem was happening, it's from the both end. He's not getting support and he's also not willing to put in extra efforts to get the work done. So I think if some of these situations are happening, person is not pulling in weight, we need to go to the root cause, identify what is the real problem, and then try to find out what are the various solutions that we can come up with. So I've now arranged some knowledge transfer sessions for that person. I have aligned a buddy to that person, which is also a senior QA from other team. So he is spending like 30 minutes each day with that person who is giving him the appropriate knowledge, with the help of which he can pick up his work. And I think this will help us solve that problem.
Excellent. Thanks, Priyanka, for that.
Sure, Sunan.
Okay, so let's move on to the third one.
Sure.
Okay, so your agile coach or your manager, let's assume, gave you the constructive feedback on an area which you are working on, and probably you are not angry with whatever they have said. You are not maybe agree with couple of points. So what you will say or do in this kind of situation when you are not agree with the feedback?
Okay, so as humans, we are always hesitant to receive feedback. We always resist if somebody says us something. We feel that, how can somebody say me like this? I am doing pretty well in my job. And so I think as a person, we should be able to accept feedback if somebody is giving, even if you do not agree to it. You just first listen to the person carefully, just do not react at that moment. No, this is not happening like this way. I do not agree with you. So if somebody is coming to you or you receive any email about any of your feedbacks, just give some time, try to understand why this feedback has been given. And first of all, thank that person that I really appreciate for taking out time and giving me this feedback. Appreciate that person, because if somebody is giving you some feedback, there would be a positive intent behind giving that feedback, that he wants you to improve in your future and improve your skills in a particular topic or a particular skill. And that's why he or she is giving the feedback. So one should always be accepting towards feedback, whatever it is shared. Say thank you to the person and try to understand why that feedback is given. For example, your agile coach says that, hey, you are, I don't think you do not have, you need to work upon your leadership skills. And you could have that impression that I am working as a Scrum Master or as a project manager from last 5 years, and I am handling a team of 10 people. I am handling multiple projects, and I'm getting good feedback. And still the person is saying that I am missing leadership skills. I really do not agree. So this is something, kind of thoughts coming in your mind. So in that case, what we can do is that just simply do not reply to that email instantly. Rather, take your time, think about it, or maybe schedule some time with that person, talk about him in person, try to understand the context, that what is the reason behind it, why he has given you such a feedback. Um, are there any instances where he observed such a behavior and that's how he has given such a feedback? So maybe, like I shared an example, that the person is saying that you are missing some leadership skills. And if I ask that person that if you can share some context or the instances, and he comes up and say that for a particular meeting, I wanted you to, pull up your socks, or maybe I was expecting some inputs from your side, but you were not available at that time. So this is, I think I was expecting something and you were not up to the mark. So in that situation, then you can put your point that why or why not that happened. You can explain that situation. And if you feel that the feedback is good or genuine, you should really have put up some points there. Then I think we should, in that case, accept the feedback because you find it genuine, and try to work upon it in future, because that's how we learn. If we get some feedback and we take it positively, if we receive the feedback, constructive feedback positively, then only we improve that. If we only try to resist that, we really cannot improve upon our things. So I think that would be the approach. And if you do not agree at all, then you can share that why this has happened, and you were busy in some other meeting, that's why you were not available, and that had higher priority, some kind of thing which was justifying the situation. So something that you can present. Yeah, I think that's how you should handle situations where you are given feedback. Do not just react, but respond to it. Another example could be somebody told you, your agile coach told you that you do not have good communication skills. Again, you can think that I have got 10 years of experience, 12 years of experience, and I am working so good. I have worked in different places, different teams, and nobody has given me such feedback in the past. And this person is saying I do not have good communication skills. Again, asking the person about the context, maybe he observed something, and which is why he has given this feedback. Maybe in one of your meetings, he was present and he noticed that you are just talking and not letting your team members put their point. And that's why he gave this feedback. So again, you can check with the person giving the feedback that, yeah, what is the context behind it? Why do you think I do not have good communication skills? So that person can say that you were not allowing your team members to speak. You were not giving your team members an opportunity to talk. So this is not a good way. This is not a good way to communicate. You should give other person the opportunity to talk. Then if you have something behind it in the background, maybe it was just one of those situations happening in one out of 10 meetings, and that is because of some past instances that you were telling your team to do something and still they were not doing it, or there was a situation around it. So you can explain and clarify your point that this is how it happened, and that's why I was talking and not letting them give the same answers every time. So I think this is how we can handle feedbacks. That would be the approach.
Excellent. Thanks, Priyanka. Friends, I hope you liking this conversation. And if yes, do it like, don't wait, okay, till the end of the session. Okay, we are coming with the next question. Okay. Okay, this one is also very interesting, and I think I have seen this first time, honestly. Okay, so scenario is like this, that you are taking a lunch and in a common area, and you heard that one of the team members making some inappropriate remark to the other team member, and the other person who is getting those remarks are not obviously like upset about all those things. So what do you do in that kind of scenarios?
Okay, so you're having lunch and there is a group of people talking about something which you find offensive, and you think that the person should not be speaking like a particular way. Then what would I do in that situation? That's the question. I think I would first take my time and understand whether it's only me who is finding it offensive and finding it wrong, or is it like the person who is on the receiving it is also feeling the same way. Because sometimes we are sitting with our friends and we are talking something, maybe it's only I who feel offensive about it and they are good with it. So in that case, I should not try to interfere in the conversation. But if I feel or notice that, yeah, the other person who is receiving that comment is also not liking it, then in that case, I think what we should do in such a situation is we should condemn such kind of behavior at the workplace, and we should ensure that somebody is not receiving such kind of hateful comments at the office place. So it can be anything. It can be related to politics, religion, it can be on feminism, or it can be something similar, simple like today in our R&R ceremony, a person who is very new in the organization is a jerk and he is receiving this award, and it should be given to somebody who is experienced and veteran in their field. So something like some kind of conversation is happening, and they are talking about the person who had received the feedback sitting on the same table. So I think if there's such kind of conversation happening, we should seriously discourage it. And I think in such a situation, after some time, I would go to that person directly and would just talk to him that, hey, there's something that is bothering me and I want to talk to you about it. During the lunch, you were sharing some kind of conversation about award that somebody has received and you were not very happy with it, that the person has received it. Was that really your intent, or like you said it just like that in a fun way? So I would try to understand his intent. If the person feels that yeah, I said it wrong and if I shouldn't have said it, and if he is apologetic about it, then I would suggest him that go to the person and say him that, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean like that this way, and I would ensure that I would not do it in future. But if you see that person is not agreeing with you, and he's saying that we are friends and we can say like this and I am right about it, the award should be given to the other person and not him, and I do not feel bad about it that I have said something like this. And in that case, I think it would be no harm if you go to that person's manager or to the HR or report such kind of behavior. And we have certain portals in the organization where we can report some misbehavior, and the purpose is to ensure that these kind of instances or incidents do not repeat in the workplace, because nobody should again receive such hateful comments at the workplace. I think that is how it should happen according to me.
Thanks a lot, Priyanka, for sharing your thoughts. Great. Okay, let's move on. So next one is about product manager. So your product manager is asking your team members to complete user stories with less DoD criteria. So what you will going to say to your PO and to your team?
Okay, so we want to deliver something with less DoD criteria. Let's talk about DoD first. DoD is definition of done, and it's something that we use in our Scrum in Sprint. Whenever the developers say that this functionality has been completed, then this is kind of a checklist and exit criteria, basis which we say that all of these items have been completed, and we can say that the functionality has been completed and moved out to the production. And some of the items in DoD could be that regression has been completed, critical test cases have been tested, code has been moved to the server, acceptance criteria has been met, and things like that. And now your PO is coming out and saying that why do not complete a particular items in the checklist and just pass it to the production. So I would first like to understand why is he saying that to complete it, to just move it to the production without completing DoD, because DoD is something decided at the beginning, and it is decided with agreement of all the team members, be it the product owner, the developers, and the Scrum Master. Everybody is involved and everybody agree that this would be our DoD, and once we pass it, we can take it forward for production. And now product owner is coming and saying that go without it. Then I would like to understand his perspective, the reason behind it. Maybe he is right about it. There were some things that are really not required, that we started at the beginning, we created them, and now we are 1 year down the line into our project, and we do not need certain things. Maybe certain things have been automated, and that's why we do not need them. So if there's thing like that, we can go ahead with it, and we can just remove those items from the DoD and clean up our DoD template. However, if we see that product owner is saying that because he is foreseeing that if we complete this, there can be some bugs that would come up into our project, and he, just for the sake of business, he wants to deliver the functionality within the ongoing sprint because he had made some commitments. So in that case, I think as a Scrum Master, you need to coach your product owner that we cannot move this item to production without completing this DoD, because it may complete something right now, but it can have consequences later on. We can add more defects and production later. And if the defect or bugs are coming in from client, it's even more tougher situation. There'll be escalation, we'll be penalized about it, and our code will not, or our functionality will not look good at all. So rather than just removing this, we can instead complete one functionality entirely. So instead of delivering 10, we can deliver 5, but we'll pass all the items in the checklist, and then we will move it to the production. So if that is a situation, we need to actually coach the product owner that what's the purpose of DoD, and if we do not complete that, what can be the consequences. think that would be my approach.
Thanks a lot, Priyanka.
Sure.
Okay, shall we move?